Welcome to Aligned Energy with me, Manon, a place where ancient wisdom meets modern health and wellness. People are waking up, questioning who they are and why they're here. For high-performing women, the climb to success can leave them feeling stuck, depleted, or disconnected. But what if the answer isn't in doing more, but in aligning with your true essence? I'm Manon de Veritch, and together with Dr. Pat, this show is about coming home to yourself unapologetically. Through education, ancient wisdom, and modern science, we explore energy as the foundation of healing and transformation. Join us now on Aligned Energy and step into the life you were meant to live. Aligned Energy starts now. This is Manon with Dr. Pat, and we're going to be talking today about stuck energy, that heaviness and resistance that we carry in our body, our mind, and our spirit. And it's everywhere. It's in the fatigue and the tension and the overwhelm, and it feels heavy and it weighs us down mentally and physically, but also, and lesser known, energetically. So I really felt compelled to talk about this today because so many people are coming in saying, ugh, I just don't know what this is. I'm just drudging through, and there's this guy I can't get over, or this relationship I can't move past, or I just keep looping on this conversation that I had, or, this regret that I have, or I don't know. It just feels like everything is thick,
Yeah.
like you're trying to walk through some mud or against a windstorm or something.
Oh my gosh. I had the most interesting call from a friend of mine who was, what a great topic, man. It's just awesome. I can't even wait. I had a call from a friend of mine. They were talking about, my God, I can't believe what's going on. I've been trying to communicate and it's just failing. I keep asking questions, but I'm not getting the answers I want. I don't know what else I could do. And we're going through a half hour of this, and I think, oh my gosh, like, is the sky falling? And it was a conversation with his AI.
What?
30 minutes talking about how the AI was not communicating. So I'm totally right there with you. And I
Yeah.
said, did you, I try to be kind. I said, okay, Joe, did you say AI? Like, yes, my chat, my AI. I said, okay, so
Yeah.
you're upset because your AI is not answering your questions, right? It's infuriating. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, Manon, isn't that what we're talking about here
Well, and we,
today?
we all have experience where we feel like we're trying to really use the best words we can to communicate something, and it's just not landing. It's just going over people's heads, and then communication is when you speak, but also the other person understands, and there's just that breakdown. And it's so frustrating. But I think what also really occurred to me only just a couple of days ago was on top of all of this that we've already been feeling all year and probably longer, is that it's an eclipse season or
Big
portal,
moon.
and we're in this seasonal transition into fall. So all of our personal internal blocks are totally magnified right now. It's not your imagination. I think that if you throw in the chaos of what's going on globally on top of that, and the fact that we're all attached to the world, so we're feeling things going on in other parts of the world, there's no way anybody's not affected.
Yeah. You really just lumped it all together in a beautiful way because, I mean, look, when I look back, clearly what was going on for my friend wasn't like about AI. You know what I mean? There was so much more underneath that about their personal life and other things, all the things you just mentioned.
Mhm.
But I guess AI was the only one that would listen to him, to be
Oh my
honest with
gosh.
you. But he did get a half hour of my time because I thought, are you going to cry? I thought it was like his ex or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it really is to your point. Now, I don't know if that's stuck energy. I know what stuck energy feels like for me,
hmm
but this has got to be an important topic for you. There's a reason that this came up for you, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. And
Uh,
there are a lot of points that I want to make around it. One is
uh,
obviously there are a lot of layers we were never taught how to process a lot of these feelings of resistance and tension and unexpressed emotions and all of these things as they come. And then we just keep going on with our life. And so then they just start stacking and sticking. And then all of a sudden, one day we reach a point where we have a total breakdown and we're crying. We don't even know why. So it's really important to start tapping into it. And I wanted to introduce the concept of energy alchemy because I call myself an energy alchemist. And I've even had to really dig in myself as to what that really means. I felt like that was the right word, but what does that really mean in the way that I'm saying it? And then how do other people understand it that aren't, typically talking about alchemy? So we're going to dive into how releasing stuck energy actually is energy alchemy and how that knowledge of how to do that, I'm going to show you how to do that, can really transform your life in a significant way, not only in how you feel, but in how you have forward momentum and progress and productivity and just better
Yeah.
interpersonal communication.
Yeah. I mean, what we're talking about is the one thing, although it may not seem like it, but it's the one thing we have control over. I did a show yesterday and it was just about responding, how we respond to things, right?
Hmm.
And I thought, wow, the person that I was doing the show with must have been in my living room the other day. But it was good to remember that we do, generally speaking, let me say, not always. We don't always have control. There are some situations that go on within a person where they've reached the brink. But generally speaking, we can choose this, can't we?
Yeah. And I'm going to give you some tools so that we can be more clear-headed in that choosing and intentional and conscious. Sound good?
It does sound good because, look, we all see it and we see it in different places. It shows up in just about every aspect of our lives. But the majority of the people don't know that this is energy.
No, no. It boggles my mind how none of us were ever even taught what energy was in the first place, let alone what we could do to have better lives. But that's a different conversation for a different day.
I'm telling you, look, let's get into this because I play a sport where you have a nanosecond between what you do and then you have less than that between your next shot.
Mhm.
And I play with my buddy and I'm not going to mention his name, but I've gotten used to him, but dang, every shot that he misses, it's like a couple of F words and like just like I mean, you could feel it. Now
Mhm.
I have some tools on my best day, but not on my best day. On my days where I'm like down a couple chords, like I've been getting up early. I don't have the bandwidth for it.
Yeah. And if
You
you
got to
don't have
help
tools in
me.
advance, you're certainly not going to have them on the fly.
Oh, chocolate banana shake is not going to work.
Oh, all right. So I just want to invite all the listeners here as we start to just take a deep breath and just start to allow your body to help you recognize where it might be holding tension. It's what I call resistance. It could be constriction. It's any sensation that your body mind, as I call it, is trying to tell you something. And we have a tendency to shut it off and stay in our head and ignore pain and just kind of run away from it. But during this hour, I just really want you to be thinking about where these parts of you are and shining a light on them. And then I'm going to share later how we can name and transmute everything that's been holding you back. So, what does stuck energy look and feel like now that you're breathing and zoning into this? You may have heard the expression, the body keeps the score. There's a book, it's referenced all the time. Your cells and your field hold memories. And over time, things like our fears and regrets and the negative stories that we tell ourselves that lower our feelings of self-worth begin to start adding up to a significant amount of energetic weight, right? It's not something that's tangible that you can put your finger on, but they really do accumulate and stack. And we don't typically have awareness of these burdens because we're so distracted with work and our families and social media, and because nobody ever taught us about energy hygiene. But if we just if we just pause and connect and take that breath and scan, I'm going to take you through a couple of examples of some different types of what stuck energy could feel like. So it could be physical, showing up as a pain right here in your shoulders, maybe tight
Mm,
shoulders, feeling like you're carrying the weight of the world on your back. Um, it could be digestive issues. It could be fatigue. These are all physical things.
yeah.
Emotional could be looping thoughts, right? You just keep thinking about what you should have done or replaying a conversation or a worry, an anxiety. It could be irritability, to your point with your partner. Sadness for no obvious reason. You just all of a sudden have tears. It doesn't have to be sadness. It could be anger. It could be laughter, honestly. Just something that's like bubbling up because it just needs to overflow and there's not a prompt for it. And then spiritually, some examples would be just feeling like you are lacking life force energy. You're kind of cut off from it and running on a battery backup, maybe. You have a lack of clarity or creativity or just you're just lacking the wherewithal to sit down and do something hard or challenging. You just
Yeah.
brain fog.
Yeah. You just don't have it. You don't have that, I mean, let's talk to this for a minute and then I would love for you to continue. My my mom used to say oomph. You don't have any oomph today. Okay, like what the heck is that word? You don't have any oomph. And I used this the other day with Linda. I said, you know what? I just don't have any oomph today. Linda, you've talked to Linda, right? Get over it. Okay, so, but she's right. I could call that in or I could call something else in. Why can I do that? Because I've been doing this show for 23 years and I've learned a few things, but most of the population is not. Isn't that why you're talking about this today?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to show you how to reclaim that.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. So we're all holding things obviously that aren't serving us, as we say in the energy medicine world. And we're just powering through life, getting out of your busy head and starting to shine a light on these things is the first step. And it starts opening up the door to being able to commune and find out what the message is in it, and then transmute or alchemize that feeling that you don't want into light or love or happiness or joy or fill in the blank with whatever you want to call in. So all this to say is, we've taken care of past things, or we think we have taken care of things in the past, but maybe some of us have, but I think a lot of us are going to get relief from bringing awareness and consciously releasing them. So let's move into how stress, energy, how does stress manifest as energetic blocks? What are energetic blocks? Um, this was really crystallized for me when I started learning spinal flow technique because they have a beautiful way of putting everything into three categories of stress: physical, chemical, and emotional. So, and they're all layered in our body and they manifest down our spinal column and in other areas of the body, I would say, as energetic blocks that are preventing this innate wisdom from moving up and down your central channel from your coccyx to your crown and feeding this life force energy and this intelligence out through your nervous system and out into your cells. So things of a physical stress could be things like tight muscles, old injuries, from a car accident, posture, poor posture, how we're always sitting. Maybe there's just some accentuated posture that's, become accentuated over time. That would all be physical stress. Emotional stress could be, unexpressed emotions is the big one because we're horrible at expressing. We've been taught to swallow everything, especially women. So it could be anxiety or grief. It could be thoughts that keep looping, just anything that we've really kept in our body and not let out, however small or big. It stays there. And then the last one is chemical stress. So that comes from everything that we ingest, the food and water, whatever level of purity is in that, the air that we breathe, just the environmental toxins and the EMFs that we're swimming in. That's all weighing on the body and our nervous system. And each one of these in spinal flow, they teach us feels differently in the body, which is fascinating to me. So the woman that founded Spinal Flow says that her superpower is that within 5 minutes she can palpate somebody's spine and tell them their life story. Just fascinating. Um, so anyways, even the subtle
But I think what you're saying here is the following. Before social media, internet everywhere, television on 24/7, you go back thousands of years. This is what they did.
Oh
And you
yeah.
have to ask yourself, I mean, maybe they didn't know it, but we have to ask ourselves sometimes, how did we think we survived as humans? So that it's a question that I explore a lot. How do we survive? You see, in a moment, we think we survive by having a remote or we have our cell or we have it right. But if you go back, how did people heal themselves and each other? You see, there's a knowledge and a wisdom that you're talking about that's so essential and even more essential now because AI is not going away, internet's not going away, Wi-Fi is everywhere. So this is something that should be taught at the very basic early levels in schools for me. Anyway, I don't know what you think about
Yeah.
that.
No, I mean we're living longer than ever, but we're sicker than we've ever been too. So it's time for everybody to find some ways that are maybe less mainstream, more metaphysical, and recognize that we can't separate from the physical from the metaphysical, right? I
No,
think that's a really big awareness. The innate wisdom that's running up and down our spine is interacting directly with our nervous system. You can't peel the two apart. So
no.
when I'm activating your spinal flow, and generating more of this energy that's running up and down, you're relaxing into this parasympathetic state, and this message is sent to your brain to release these spinal blocks, and more electrical flow is running between your coccyx and your crown, which is healing and balancing your body, helping itself heal. So, and that's just one modality, right? Like all of these energy healing modalities have nuanced ways of clearing blocks and releasing energies that aren't serving you, as we say. But you don't really need a practitioner so long as you're aware, of these basic things that we're talking about and using your intention and visualization and, you know, to uh, to work on some daily energy
Yeah.
hygiene.
Yeah. And the other thing, please comment on this because we're not a one size fits all. See, that's why energy and having a conversation about energy works because you and I don't show up with an energetic DNA that looks alike every minute of every day. And so what happens is you develop ways the way you've just described so that people can pull from a common place of healing, can pull from what we know about energy and about the body and about our personal journeys and maybe about the psychology or the spirituality of things.
Mhm.
And this now is so important because I don't know how many people you talk to a day, but almost every, I mean, I don't understand, Manon, what's actually going on. But I have a call with somebody and I get them on the books and they're calling me from their car trying to eat a half a sandwich and think we're going to do a coaching call. And I'm like, no, pull over. I'll talk to you if you pull over. Well, I can't pull over. I'm like, I can't. I don't need to hear your car tires screeching.
Yeah.
But this is why what we're talking about is so important.
Yeah. Got to slow ourselves down for starters. Stop multitasking. Um,
Get a sauna. I need to get a sauna. But
oh,
part of the conversation of what you're talking about is stuck energy, but you just talked about stress and spinal flow and energy blocks. And can we talk a little bit more about energy blocks and what that means? Because I think if people can get a sense of how this shows up, like in their daily lives, like what that looks like, if they can imagine themselves as this, it's like a light bulb goes on. It said, oh, wait, these two are not talking about something conceptual. That was me. That was me in the grocery store line, wanting to go through the checkout and get like a real person to check me out. That was me. I was in the grocery line, but there was no checkouts because why? Okay, people have been replaced with self-serve. So I'm in the self-serve. I've never used it before. And I'm standing there and I'm just hitting all the buttons, but I don't notice the screen says touch the screen. Touch the screen. Why would I want to touch the screen? And then you touch the screen and you have to figure out I got like all these groceries. Now what am I going to do? Scan them. Oh my gosh. I got to look it up. I got to look up broccoli. How do I look? See, this may sound like a simple thing, but for a mom or a person or a dad who has three kids that they're trying to get home in time to make dinner, do their jobs, work from home, all they could do is cry. And
yeah.
I saw this about a month ago at the grocery store. Cry. Just total overload. And of course, you know me, I had to go to the rescue.
Well, that's what I'm talking about when these things are accumulating and layering and we aren't peeling them off and processing them. There's only so much that we can handle in this body. You know, it's, it's limited.
Yeah. And then here's the punchline. Both of us over there at the little machine and we're working on it. Then I'm getting fired up because I can't get it to work. Finally, the person comes over and says, oh, somebody must have removed the out of order sign. Okay. So
Oh,
myself and this other woman, you're at the point where you're ready to grab somebody's neck. Now, of course, you don't. But how did we get to the point, Manon, where
mhm,
something like a machine that checks out our groceries can bring us to the brink of tears?
mhm. Yeah, we hold a lot more than we're designed to hold. Stress in general is not meant to be something that we live in a state of. I mean, there's good and there's bad stress. I know if you want to get technical about it, but the kind of stress that we're living in, the fight or flight, we're not ever giving our body a chance to process and let go. And so we have very short fuses anymore. And it's not doing us any favors because we talked about this before, but if we're not harmonized in our body and we're not letting these stresses that then manifest as energetic blocks or strangleholds or, I actually kind of have a visual of when I'm working on somebody's ascending, descending central channel, right? It's your midline and there's a river of chi, I call it, that runs up and down your midline, and all the meridians kind of tap into that and pull that energy out. So it's really important for me to clear that out and make sure there's no blocks. So you've got a nice, healthy, vital river. And it feels to me sometimes like I'm roto-rootering it. I really get this sensation when I'm sending a sound wave, for example, up the midline. I can feel in my body where it's stopping in theirs, at which chakra it's stopping. And then I just, I continue and I'm working with it until it breaks free and I'm directing them to breathe, open up their mouth, let the energy come out their mouth and open that channel for it. And then it, gradually kind of comes up, comes up, comes up. But it's that rotor rooter, I just keep coming back to it because I'm just getting this visualization of it like poop, 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 until it finally can break free. But it's a legitimate block.
Yeah. It's a legitimate block that we have not come to recognize in the moments that they happen. And what did you say? Accumulate?
Oh yeah, it's not just they're not happening
No,
in the moment, they're
no.
there. And then you
Mhm.
reach a point at like a tipping point where you just don't have the resource
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
to
and we're going to
function.
talk more about this. We're going to take a short break and be right back. But before we do, Manon, tell people how, I mean, we're talking about something, but this is a body of work you do. So
Mm,
just take a moment and let people know how they can work with you, what
mm.
kind of events you have coming up, all of the above, how they can connect with you and contact you.
I offer energy healing, various energy healing modalities, and transformation coaching and erotic blueprint coaching, which are all tied to helping people access their life force energy, feel connected to it, and feel empowered to start moving it to use it for healing, generating wealth, just consciously creating the life of their dreams. And a lot of it is related to this very topic of alchemizing what's not serving them to make space to call in what they do want. And it's all pure potential on the other side.
I
So
love it.
you can visit alignedenergyhealing.com and you can book a call and talk to me about whatever it is that you're looking to do, and we can figure out the best way to get there.
Yeah, so when we come back, we're going to talk about a whole lot of things. You know, there's micro and there's macro in the world. But when we come back, we're going to talk to you about very specifically, the iconic focus of each. You may have heard the terms before, but I bet you haven't heard these terms and how you start your healing journey. Right? We're ready for a break, Manon. We'll be
Yeah.
right back, everybody. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. It's Manon with Dr. Pat, and we are here talking about releasing stuck energy and energy alchemy. So, as a reminder, you can find me at alignedenergyhealing.com. I'm available for healing sessions, coaching, and anything that you want to talk through. I encourage you to book a call and we can get the conversation started. So, let's dive into alchemy. We have heard what alchemy is in terms of, turning metals into gold back in the medieval times. But alchemy in the modern spiritual sense, and the way that I really refer to it is the art of inner transformation. Hence my Phoenix logo. So turning that dense, heavy, or shadow aspects of yourself, like fear, pain, trauma, into higher frequencies like love, light, wisdom. And when I say turning them into, that's another way of saying transmuting, right? It comes out, it comes in one way and it comes out the other. You're transmuting it. So you're not escaping it. As we all know, energy, doesn't ever cease to exist. It's always there, but you can transmute it. So instead of rejecting or ignoring something that feels dark or difficult or just, not feeling good in your body, you honor it and you listen to it. And then you transform it into fuel for growth and evolution.
Yeah, I want to just say for everybody out there, I want to just tell people real quick what we mean by transmutation. Now, snake happens to be one of my totems, but I'm not going to talk about it. Here's what transmutation means at the very basic levels. You get your fire, you put it in your fireplace. You're going to light yourself a fire. And the next thing that happens, that wood turns into smoke. That's the alchemy of that, right?
And ash.
That, right? And oh, I forgot the ash part. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So all of that. And almost every day in our life, we're watching this. It happens around us, but yet we don't know how to apply that to ourselves the way you're talking about it. But it does, it happens around us. On a cold, warm day and the rain hits here in the Pacific Northwest, and you could see it hit the ground, and the next thing you do is you see steam. but we have the ability to see that and shift it. That's what you're talking about, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah. And in my work with energy healing and the erotic blueprints and the Phoenix experience, which is more of my mentorship, alchemy refers to the process of liberating that stuck energy so that it can return to flow and be used for healing, for expansion and conscious creation. So what does that mean? It just means that to me, energy alchemy is it's pure potential, right? Once you transmute it, it can be anything. You're taking something that you don't want and you're intentionally inviting something that you do want. Another metaphor could be you're filling up a bowl with what you don't want any more of, and you're emptying the bowl to make room for something new to come in to fill that space. So if you think about it, everybody has things that they want to call in or manifest in this life. And probably a lot of us on the call are aware that you need to let go of things in order to make space for that to come in. You need to let go of old harmful relationships to make way for healthy relationships, for example. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense because part of this is, what is it you want? What do you want? What do you want in your life?
Hmm.
What do you want in this moment? What do you want on your job? What do you want? You want fun, you want desire, maybe you want joy. And yet you go into work every day and what are you experiencing? It isn't that. So what do you do about it? Do you think that you're stuck? Do you think you can't shift that? Or is it maybe you just don't know how? Because I think what you're talking about is you're sharing tools and techniques for people that you can be in that job with that boss if you choose to stay there, right? Some people can't change their jobs. But if that's you, what can you do to take care of yourself? Because that's what we're talking about here, self-care, right?
Absolutely. This is taking our power back and recognizing that we can do something with what we don't want and call in what we do want. We are sovereign. We have a lot more power than we think we do. So I'm trying to give you some of the hacks.
Yeah. And then, part of this too is if we could look at this micro macro idea. And I talked about that before the break. And let's just dig deep into that because walk us through where healing starts.
Well, if I understand you correctly, there's a layered healing approach. There are different steps. Some people say there's four. Some people say three. I'm gonna stick with three. This is consistent with the Phoenix process of three. So the first thing to do is to recognize and accept and release the heaviest layers of what's ready to fall. By the way, it's fall right now. This is
Yeah.
an invitation to let the leaves fall, let all the things that don't serve you fall. Um, and you can name what that is too in that process. I think that's powerful. So when I invited you earlier to start scanning your body and start realizing where you have shoulder pain or shoulder tension, for example, just name what that is, first of all, and recognize and accept that it's there. You can even ask what you're meant to know about it in the first place. And sometimes you'll get a message, oftentimes. And we have to know what it is before we can allow it to transmute or create space to welcome in what we want. So, like I said, name it. Where did it come from? Let's just call it grief
Mm.
in this example. So number two is to then transform that grief energy into something that you can use for healing, for creation, for joy. So you put it in that bowl, you empty the bowl, and you are consciously and intentionally saying, I'm letting go of this, I'm releasing it. Another way to do it is to have a really good cry and release. I think that's really potent in this work with emotions and things that are coming up. Really get it up and out of your body. This is from my work in sweat lodges. what we do, we're identifying and naming it, and then we're giving it to the stones by releasing through emoting, making sure that it's all the way out of us. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Powerful. Powerful.
So you have to let it move through you is the point, so that it can be honored and fully expressed. Because this is all about respecting that the things that we're carrying in this resistance is they're aspects of us, and aspects of us have our best interest in mind, even though it might not feel like it. So by just recognizing and honoring and asking, what is your goal for me? What's in my highest and best interest in this? I think it's really telling. So the third thing is to, once you've transmuted or released, embody that shift fully. So step into this new reality that you have in happiness and joy, right? This lightness that you've called in for yourself. And remember, alchemy is pure potential. So without it, we don't evolve. If you don't empty the bowl and call in something new, we're stuck in the same place for our whole life, and things just keep stacking until we're breaking down. So this is so important to do this process. We don't grow in the same way when we have that crap in our way. So once you get through it, once you've learned all these things about yourself in this process and from the aspects and from the emoting and, all of this intuitive wisdom that you're getting in this process, you're in a position to step into what I call your full potential and move forward momentum.
Yeah. I mean, we are getting to the point, and I don't know exactly how to put this, but I think we were built as human beings to handle what's in front of us. I believe we were. If you go back, you could see how we were able to handle giant beasts that were in front of us as we were traveling around the earth. And then we emerged. Then we had the industrial age. And so here comes microwave ovens or TV dinners, and we emerged. What I don't think we anticipated is where we are now. And I think some people saw it coming, but others didn't quite see what the impact was. Now, clearly, if you're watching any of the Terminator movies, you got a sense of the gloom and doom of AI, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is the world is opening up to information beyond anything we have the capacity to distinguish and determine. And so we're having to really almost like you can't get away from it. You know, that it's one thing to be able to go for a walk and like I went to see the moon. It's another thing where every day of your life, especially now, I work with teens. So you're watching them, right? And they're attached to their phones. And I asked one of them the other day, how do you know what you're reading is true? Do you know what the answer was?
Why?
Doesn't matter. That was the answer.
Oh.
It doesn't matter if it's true. And of
Hmm.
course, this was a longer conversation because this teenager was in so much pain that it really didn't matter. And yet it gets accumulated. So, what you're talking about, this is not really something that we can lay back on anymore. It's like family members, moms, dads, if you're listening to this, there's an action here for you, for everyone that's tuning in to understand you don't have to keep trudging along on a pathway where all you're accumulating is layers of things that you should be letting go of.
Mhm.
That's part of it because if you're not letting go of it, you're opening yourself up for disease, psychological, spiritual,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mental,
Yeah.
physical.
These
So
stuck
that's the
energies
importance.
absolutely fester.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't turn a blind eye to it. They're gonna keep throwing bigger rocks.
Yeah. That comment was very telling, but I understood it. I did. I understood it because I grew up as a kid that just had to turn everything in my, family life off. And so Saturdays, I packed myself up and I took whatever money I had and I walked a really long way to go to the movies. And I stayed there all day long. You can't do that now, but once upon a time, you kind of stay in the movies. But we have other ways to do that now.
Yeah.
Gaming. We're gaming. We're doing something. But what you're talking about is we can learn even in the busyness and even in the day of that. We're not saying people have to transform themselves, but we're talking about these practical rituals of release. And release is so seriously important. What is the impact of not releasing, Manon?
Well, we just talked about it. It's going to accumulate and stack. It's going to fester and it's going to turn into disease. And you're going to reach a boiling point where you're incoherent. You can't
Mm,
function because you just don't have the capacity to think straight and
hmm.
make rational conversations. You aren't resourced. You aren't
Yeah,
flowing and moving. You're compressed and tense and everything in your inside world is reflected in your outside world, right? So if you I think that a good indication of how much stuck energy you have could be the life that you're living right now.
yeah,
If all of your conversations are hard and you're not getting anything that you're trying to do and you're beating your head against a wall, look inward, please. Take some do some scans and start to transmute this. I actually have as a free gift to listeners, I have a guided meditation that I did about connecting in with your aspect, asking what goal it has for you, transmuting it, and releasing it. It's very short, and it's something that you can even do daily. You can memorize it because it's that short, and you can do it any time of day that you just feel like something's coming up. I'm really encouraging you guys to start paying more attention to your energy bodies and your energy hygiene in general because there's a lot depending on it.
yeah. So give us some demonstrations or give us something here at the end of the show. It's going to help people.
Okay.
Just hit the
So
pause button, so to speak.
so what I wanted to share was one of the things that actually prompted this whole conversation was reflecting on a ceremony that I was given during one of my vision quests by my shaman mentor. And I'm going to take you through this mm, four-step process, I would say. And it's something that you can do physically in real life, or you can do it, you can visualize it. Okay. So the first thing that you do is I want you to write down everything that's weighing you down, past or present. This could be fears that you have, limiting beliefs. It could be negative stories you're telling yourself. It could be regrets, things that you said, things you did, things you should have done, anything that you feel like is kind of looping. And then I want you to pick a rock for everything listed and make it uh, make it commensurate with the size of that energetic burden that you just wrote down. Right? So if it's something that like you're thinking about every day that's a real problem, get a really big rock. And then put them all into a backpack. Put the backpack on and then just walk around with all of the rocks in there and just feel how it's slowing you down and holding you back and causing you pain and frustration. And it really takes you into the body and connects your mind body to realize it might be invisible and energetic, but there's a real physical and mental element to it that's really causing you pain. And just really feel into that pain and frustration on a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual level. And then take the backpack off, and I want you to throw each one of the rocks as far as you can. You can throw it into a river or you can just throw it as far as you can and just consciously release the burden and energetic ties to whatever that was. And once you're finished, just kind of stand up without the backpack and just notice how much lighter you feel and how you carry yourself. And I promise you that this is more profound than it probably even sounds. When you actually are holding it and then taking the backpack off and throwing it, there's really something to this. You could even be sore the next day from throwing all of these rocks. And if you're sore, just say thank you for releasing on my behalf, and really affirming the work that was done. I can't state it enough how important the honoring is in this process of what's coming up. Oh, my thumbs up. So, um, okay, I got it off.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my gift to you. That was my medicine and one of my ceremonies that I am sharing with you. And then, like I said, also you have the meditation that is another practice and ritual that you had. So as we wrap up, I just want to say, I know that we're running out of time. Energy is everything, and everything is energy. I think Einstein said that. That is such a massive concept. We were never taught about any of this. I'm here just helping people realize how integral that awareness is in the way that we're living and showing up in this world and consciously creating the life that we want to live. So, since it never ceases, it only transforms. We have the ability to heal ourselves from all this pain and suffering that we're carrying around by alchemizing these energetic burdens or emptying our bowls to make room for what we want to call in. That's the big message that I want to leave you with. And also, when we do this work, celebrate yourself and congratulate yourself because it's part of the alchemical process and it anchors you into that new potential and what's next coming in. Like, oh my gosh, I did this. This is so great. I took the time for myself to honor myself, to learn more about myself, to grow and evolve on my personal journey. It's it's my
Yeah.
biggest wish for you.
And it's important also to remember the experience you just had by doing this. It's really what you said is so important is like sometimes we go through by rote, we just go through and do things, but we have to take a moment and remember the experience. When you're able to change a fear thought and transmute it or something that's happened in your life, you have to take a minute to honor it in gratitude, don't we?
Yeah. That's a big part of the process that I think some people miss, and it's a
Yeah.
must. Mm.
So, what's your personal message and what do you want to leave us with, especially how we can connect with you?
Well, I think I already shared my personal message a few times, so I'll just say that if I welcome any kind of calls or questions that you may have in going through this process. Follow the link to claim any number of free gifts, but including this most recent guided meditation on releasing stuck energy and transmuting it. I welcome any suggestions that you have for other meditations that you're like or issues that you would like to tackle, things that you even want to hear about on this podcast. Please reach out to me at alignedenergyhealing.com. You can either book a call or you can click on contact me and send me an email that way. It would be my honor to hold space for you and create a container where we can do this work together as well. And you can visit my healing section for any of those options.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this today because this is super important. This is a tool that you learn not for a day, not for a minute, but for a lifetime. Thank you, Manon, for everything. Thank you for the
Thank you,
reminder.
Pat.
Yeah. For all of you out there, talked about a lot today, but here's the most important thing. This is something you can actually control. This is something you can actually do for yourself. Reach out to Manon if you have any questions. I know we covered a lot. And you know, Einstein was right. What he was saying underneath that is there isn't any energy out there that we take internally that we cannot transmute. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Aligned Energy, where ancient wisdom meets modern health and wellness. This is Manon.
And I'm Dr. Pat.
Join us for more inspiration to step into your power and reconnect with your inner wisdom. Be sure to tune in every second Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. I invite you to like and subscribe to Aligned Energy with Manon on your favorite platform. And if you're ready to go deeper, visit alignedenergyhealing.com to book a healing or coaching session or schedule a complimentary discovery call. Until next time, stay aligned, stay empowered, and embrace the energy that is uniquely yours. See you next time.